too, so we'll start all over. So we'll start all over.
Okay. You're all set, Miss Kim.
Okay, great. All right. We can call to order at 4:05. And you guys can hear me, correct? Just making sure. Yes. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I can't see because I'm driving. Okay, sorry guys. We can do roll call. So we have Jane
I'm here.
and Dana and Venice and Nicole.
Yes.
And I think that's it, right? Is that 5? Correct. Okay. And if you guys want to look at the agenda and we can have a motion or discussion about the approval of the meeting agenda as written.
I'll
I
move to
move.
approve. Oops,
Okay.
sorry.
It's all right. I'll second it.
Okay, Dana and Vanicy. Jane, if you got that. And all those in favor of approving the agenda as written, say aye. Aye, great.
Aye.
Excellent. In your email, there were minutes from the 16th of April and the 21st of April for those meetings. If there are no corrections or additions to those, then we can move to approve those as written as well.
I'll move to approve them.
Okay, thank you, Venice. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Was that Nicole?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Is there any public comments? I don't think so. I didn't see anybody else. If not, then Mr. Rafe, we can move on to you.
All righty. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so we just had our last staff meeting of the year, and it's been a busy year, a good year. A lot of stuff has happened. I was just talking with some folk about like all the things, not the least of which. So, I mean, one, we grew we took on 20 more kids this year. We were 20 people bigger than we've ever been.
Wow.
And yeah, so and in our world, 20 kids with some pretty significant needs, some of them, a lot of them, rattles the cage a bit. And man, the staff fought its way through it. At times, we were like, please don't quit, please. but a lot of them, and we came out the back end of this looking really good. To see our kids get off the bus now at the end of the school year, just it does. It's good stuff. Like the school's doing good things. So we broke ground on the new building, did all the ceremonial stuff around that, went through charter renewal, negotiation went well. We'll talk more about that one because it's an agenda item. We took over North Fourth Arts. I mean, any one of these accomplishments in a year, or in a few years, is a thing. And holy man, we did it in the span of one school year, not even a full calendar year, but a school year, right? On top of that, we launched our workforce development I'm sorry, the adult ed program. Like we rooted that, onboarded a bunch of staff. Like things are really, it was a good year for us. And I think an extension of that is you guys as a board. You guys have always been so supportive, and I think willing to entertain my weird visions of what the place is going to look like. All right, if you trust me, and I just to let you guys know, I appreciate that. And we've hopefully we just keep going with the trajectory that we're on, building good stuff and getting the momentum that riding the momentum that we have. A couple of quick things. Greg and I were in DC. Was it last week? I guess it was only last week, right? Yeah, and we were there for a workforce conference, which we were able to kind of hang with the state leadership around workforce solutions. The top of that food chain being Sarita Nair, who's the secretary for Workforce Solutions, and went very well. So it's looking like the adult program is going to run a substantial piece of it's going to run through workforce as opposed to higher education. I think after a lot of discussion and talking, Greg kind of making sure I understand everything around the political and bureaucratic world. Like it just seems it's a cleaner fit to house the adult program and workforce with other slivers of the agency, other agencies kind of chipping in, but workforce does seem to be um, it's going to hold the lion's share of both, I think, resource and guidance, right, going through that department. So that thing in DC was really encouraging and is also, I think, laid groundwork for the federal delegation to really get behind this. I think we met with Heinrich's folk and Ben Ray Lujan's folk, and I think both camps are see the vision. On top of that, we've had some state senators pay attention to this, not the least of which is Senator O'Malley, who's going to be, it's looking like she's going to be officed in North Fourth, which is a cool thing. So, yeah. So now,
That's awesome.
yeah. So she's a champion of the idea. She brought in Senator Campos. I think we're working towards a way that this becomes a state initiative that really is supported by both and all sides, right? Both sides, all sides, that kind of thing. We're in the midst of budget season now still. We have a late budget date, which I think Sarah and I are both happy for that, but it's also so all our applications are in with the exception of maybe one, but everything as far as the compliance pieces and all the stuff to set up budget is there. I think Sarah and I just need to sit down and logistically go over all the dollar amounts and raises and all that kind of stuff, but it's looking pretty clean. We're healthy financially, so next year looks to be a good year again. Just so everyone knows, as far as lottery, we did go for a second lottery pool just because we had some people decline positions when we offered from the first, but we're good. We're projected to be around 170 for next year, so we're still on a growth trajectory. We did kind of pump the brakes. Our waiting list is huge. I would say, Rachel, 70 plus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
A lot of those though are not specific to the mission of the school, the language mission of the
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled every deaf kid and every like the priority pools were taken. So we did delve a little into the in need of ASL, but not deaf, but very, very slight. So I do think though we're gonna see more and more kids come our way as we're stopping about 170, but things are gonna still roll, obviously, which people are gonna be waitlisted. But I don't know if you guys have seen this. We've been featured on a commercial on Channel 4. If you watch Channel 4 News, it's because of the Pay It Forward and Valley Fence sponsorship. They made this 30-second commercial. I think two of them, right, Rachel? And they're both really slick. And so that's running on on real TV and free to us, which is Miss Kim, I always like that. So, but it's so I think more and more we're getting our name out there. I know Rachel and Andrew are getting our rack cards out to different audiologists. We're going to be Special Olympics. We're going to just throwing things out there to more and more get our name. I think we're convinced that other entities that maybe don't like us aren't speaking well of us and maybe talking out of coming our way, which we expect that. But we just got to make sure we stay on track to be positive and let people know about our accolades and the great work we're doing. So just a quick update. Any questions for me?
Staffing, Mr. Rafe, how are we looking for next year?
Staff, and we did lose one teacher to making babies, so she's going to go be a mama for a little bit, but we're hopeful she's going to come back our way. And that was Miss Sonia, and that's been announced. We are looking for a middle school teacher. It's a middle school reg position. So if any of you know any talented middle school teachers, send them our way. it'd be great if they were dual licensed and versed in ASL. But if they're not, we can backfill those skills. But being a strong teacher is probably the primary qualification. So and especially in middle school. So if you know anybody that wants to come around, it's a reg-ish. It's the most reg position we have at the school, regular ed, I mean, general ed position. So they're usually easiest to fill those positions. But then, but they have to have the heart for the place. And I think that's really what we're looking for. Other than that, we have a few service provider positions that are open. So like Jonathan, our OT assistant, is going back to school to get his real OT license. So we lost him for a year. So, but those ones we can. I'd love to attract someone as an employee, but we can fill those positions through contract services. So, but yeah, we're strong. Not many, with the exception of Sonia, everyone stayed.
Excellent, excellent. Good deal. And
I have
so,
a question. Okay.
oh,
Yes.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Ben.
When you say that the adult program is going to work through Workforce Solutions, what does that mean?
So yeah, good question, Missy. Sorry about that. I kind of
It's all
sometimes
right.
yeah. So what we're building out is a post K-12 program. So it's
Okay.
post the age of K-12 funding, which means that it like in a reg ed world, it would fall under higher ed, but
Okay.
post-secondary. So, but because and we've flirted with and tried to convince higher ed to jump in this pool with us, but the
Okay.
compliance pieces around higher ed are pretty ominous, and it was a big stretch for us to fit ourselves into their box. So,
Okay.
say that they won't have some investment. I still think we can get them to come our way in pieces, but
Mhm.
not in the not the big not the lion's share of investment like we
Okay.
were thinking, right? But Workforce Solutions does present a path for us where there's good funding, there's things that can, it'd be easier for us to fit ourselves into, and we don't have to contend with the compliance pieces around curriculum and that kind of stuff in an adaptive way that we would have had to with higher education.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the Workforce Solutions to me is a place that you get that's not the
Oh,
same as when you get retire or you get fired and I don't understand, I guess. Is
No,
that two
let me
different
let me try and help, Rafe.
go ahead, Greg, go ahead.
Well, I think what we're talking about here is job training and
Okay.
workforce
Okay.
development dollars to fund the
The job training. Okay. So,
yes,
Yeah,
all right.
career
Okay.
pathway
yeah,
Okay. All
post
right.
22.
So they do job training when you're looking for a job and everything. They do job training. They do training on resumes and all that stuff. They're going to help train the adults and the kids at the school or give you money
that,
to support that
That.
program.
I was
that,
gonna say
All right.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Got it now.
yeah,
All right.
that piece.
All right.
Yes.
That makes sense now. Okay.
Well,
Thank you. Sorry.
where does DVR fit with all that, Mr.
Uh,
Rafe?
you're killing me, Kim. There should be.
They
So
should be doing
they
some
should be.
parts of
Yeah,
this, right? I do this for my clients too, and they're like, "Well, we're with DVR, but then we got an email that our case was closed because we didn't comply, but we haven't gotten anything to comply with." So
yeah.
I'm just curious for my
That
own.
story is the norm of DVR, and so if this is recorded and then someone hears it, I guess good, because that's one of the things. To be honest, if DVR were to come our way wholly, they would probably have all the funds to do, like they would be able to fund this initiative, right? I,
Right.
but it's not. It's really difficult to work with, and it doesn't seem to change. So there,
Right.
it's yeah. So Greg and I talked about there's a legislative plan that he and I are going to probably jump into.
Another scheme we're gonna hatch.
Yeah, but basically break the stranglehold that DVR has on funding that they don't use, they send back. It's 80%, roughly 80% Fed funded, DVR is, and I would bet they send a bunch of that money back
Oh, I
because
know they do. I have several clients that are trying to access services, and it never works out. And then even the parents that have gone with my clients to go and try to figure it out, they go and they often feel like they're teaching them what kind of things they should be, helping the clients with. They're like, why don't we try to apply for jobs? Or I mean, they just don't. And the turnaround is so incredible. I mean, one week they're working with this person, and then the next time oh no, it's a different person. We have to start all over again. So it's really
Yeah.
challenging,
And
families
it's
are struggling.
it's quite possibly the most broken system in government.
No,
Wow.
no, you're wrong. CYFD is.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
I would
True.
have to agree with that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry.
I would have to agree
I
with
don't
that
know.
one.
Yeah, that's a neck and neck
Sorry.
race, man.
Please.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay. I'll defer. Yeah, but I'll say, yeah, I agree. I
Okay.
think that there could be light at the end of that tunnel if someone with power were to make it move, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Rafe?
Nope.
If not, okay. So let's see. The golf tournament was super fantastic. Miss Rachel and Mr. Andrew did a great job. It was well attended. It was nice, even though the weather was not perfect. It was still a super great event. I think we did well, right, Mr. Rafe? As far as teams and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah, it was full, 38
Yeah.
teams. Yep.
Very nice. And it's just come a long way. The dancers, thank you so much, Nicole, for providing that. That was super awesome. Just everything about it, the music, everything. Every time I'm blown away with how far we've come from where we were. And it was when it was me and Miss Jan just throwing stuff together. So kudos to your team, Mr. Ray, for that. That was awesome.
Yep. They're great.
Let's see. North Fourth is super cool. I will say that because I have clients that are attending it as well, and families are just over the top, over the moon, thrilled that we're back. And I always tell the families that I'm working with and the people I see, we're tweaking as we go. We may not be perfect, but we'll figure it out. We're always open to suggestions and solutions. So kudos to Jen and the crew she's got over there. I mean, I get texts weekly after the sessions about how excited they are to have some more to go again.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm
neat.
so glad that we were able to jump into that and, expand our little world. So
Yep.
that's
Hey, Miss
awesome.
Kim, can I add something I forgot?
Sure.
So I'm not sure if you all know or paid attention, but the Trump administration cut AmeriCorps, right? And basically
Right.
put it on all but killed it. It's still on life support, breathing, but barely. But our program did get cut. And because of that, we were one featured in the journal. So we were in the front page 2 or 3 weeks ago talking about those cuts. Then I went on KKOB and talked about it some more. And then I did go on Focus on New Mexico. Is that what it's called?
New Mexico in Focus.
New Mexico in Focus. There it is. And so we did get our fair share of media coverage around our program specifically being cut from from federal funding. Now Greg will be able to probably be more helpful as far as like what it means in the future. I mean, I'm hopeful that they'll resurrect it, but I don't but I don't know if that's the truth or not. So right now, the state has stepped in through Workforce Solutions, Workforce Connections, Menacee, that
Okay.
and help us keep those AmeriCorps people that we brought on, keep them employed through our program through the end of the summer.
Nice.
Yeah, so we did get some help from the state. The state's been super helpful,
Good.
and they're I can't say enough about that department just stepping to the challenges. But we'll see what the federal government does with AmeriCorps in general. I mean, Greg, do you have anything to add?
Every 4 years with the changing administrations, sometimes it ends up on the chopping block, but it's a fairly bipartisan supported program. And just sort of keeping tabs on it, it seems like a lot of Republican congressional leaders are becoming more outspoken, saying that it's one of the things that should not be cut. And so I'm hopeful that somehow that message gets through and that it would return in some form. But as anybody who watches the news knows, they're debating the big, beautiful bill as we speak into the wee hours every night. And so it's kind of like stay tuned. Let's see, one, if they can pass an appropriations bill, and then two, sort of what sort of language is in there. But Rafe is absolutely right. I think because of the uniqueness of the program, and of course, all of being highlighted both, on radio, print media, and New Mexico in Focus, where Rafe appeared alongside Senator Martin Heinrich and former federal board member to AmeriCorps, Alvin Warren, who we probably all know from being the Indian Affairs Secretary. And Rafe sort of telling the story of like the impact on the ground of cuts. I think that that's positioning us to hopefully be resuscitated in the future. And I do believe that we reapplied based upon sort of the RFP that was open. And so it's just a matter of sort of seeing what happens at the federal level to sort of plot out the next steps.
Yeah. Yeah, we did put ourselves in a position if it's resurrected that we did apply again. Jen did apply again. Yeah, so fingers crossed.
Okay. Okay, all right. Mr. Gregg, you want to do your update?
Sure, it's kind of a short update, but I want to circle back around to sort of the DC trip and just a funny side story that Rafe is so strategic that when he was flying to DC, he was on the same plane with Secretary Sarita from Workforce Solutions, and their plane was diverted back to Chicago. They had sort of an amazing race experience getting to DC, but Rafe was strategic to be on the same plane with the secretary, thereby getting
Planned it all.
amazing one-on-one time.
Oh
And
my
accomplishing
gosh. That's
sort
like
of
what we call the perfect storm, Mr. Rafe. That was meant to
And
be.
yeah, we hung out, man. She's actually pretty cool.
and
Dang.
those of us that appreciate government relations, that time is like invaluable. And then, of course, she knocked it out of the ballpark. She was one of the keynote speakers. But then we proceeded to have several days of really good time with her. And as me and Rafe and his team met this morning, we'll hopefully have her back over to North Fourth and ASLA in the near future to continue the conversation. Because as Rafe mentioned, the most logical, largest piece of sort of a funding pie could flow through her department. And I think that sort of even the team from New Mexico that went to DC represented a smorgasbord of organizations serving everything from sort of immigrants to every conceivable background of New Mexican. And the common theme that Rafe was able to point out is no matter a person's a family or economic status or background, unfortunately, people with disabilities exist in all of those spaces. And so it's sort of an issue that cuts across every sort of background and characteristic. And being able to draw that distinction, I believe, will lead to all of these other groups who may not have known about ASLA or the work that we're doing, but recognize the power of the transition program that Rafe and his team are building. And so,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
so that
It's
was
true, 100%, right?
Yep, time well
Nice.
spent. But then also on sort of the funding side of things, I think since the last time we met, we got another $20,000 sort of investment from the Anderson Foundation
Good.
to support sort of the transitions program that we're building. And then they're coming up on the end of the fiscal year, so a lot of reports that are due to sort of outdoor equity and some of those folks, but then also queuing up sort of the next round of proposals that'll go into a lot of those same funding streams that I feel comfortable we're well positioned to keep or expand sort of resources coming into the pie. And so, but with that, I'll answer any questions or field any comments.
Anybody have questions?
All right, seeing none, I'll kick it back to you, Kim.
All right, great deal. On to new business. We're on to the final approval of the charter contract negotiations goals, Mr. Rafe.
Yep. So did everyone get a chance to look at what was in the agenda, the page that was kind of colorful? You see that? Okay. So what the PEC made us do was so that color coded rubric is what the state uses to grade all schools through their new system called Vistas. Okay. And so what the state made us do was crosswalk our adjustments to that they would recognize as our accountability system moving forward. And just unless someone can share it, I'll just kind of what we were able to do. We were able to and it took months of kind of prepping the PEC and the charter school division, the CSD, into understanding our construct in that special ed, reg ed, life skills, like the diverse populations, and how many folks or kids we have in each of those cohorts really constitutes us not fitting, makes it so that we don't fit into the state's formula. So they allowed us to adjust our point system to match our kids, which was a huge win. And so we talked through it all, and basically we mirrored, and they allowed us to, and even sometimes suggested ways that we were able to manipulate the points so that we got full credit for kids who in the larger systems are peripheral and sometimes non-existent statistically, right? And case in point, the population that the general education world calls 1%ers and 2%ers make up almost 65% of our entire population. So from
Wow.
2%ers in reg ed world becomes 65 to 70 in our,
Wow.
and we were able to manipulate the scale so that those kids are well represented. So I'm really happy where we are. I think it sets the table for here till forever. As long as we stay within kind of the way we're built, which I don't see any reason, like it's kind of who we are. This is a fair measure of us. And more than that, I think it from the perspective of the charter school division, it really gives us a not just a fair look of us, but it's going to show our greatness. Now, that's on the charter school side. On the public ed side, yeah, we're going to still get the same grade based on everybody else. That's the right. So the charter school who knows us, charter school division who knows us, will be able to say this is a great school, A+. The state's going to come in and say, "Oh, you're a failing school, F." Right?
Oh,
Because we're just
geez.
don't match. But I will tell you this. I think we are working closely with assessment and special ed and priority schools. Like the departments know about us, and so they're all apologetic and saying, "Yeah, you're going to get the F, but we know your true value." So
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's something in that, even though we won't be able to proclaim it to the world, like, through those websites that are, say, great schools or whatever.
Greg, who created that spreadsheet?
That's what the base of that was, from the Vistas report, what the state uses, but then we were able to manipulate the points. And so it was a committee of my people. So Stephanie, Laura, myself, Sherry, Mr. Kim, who's our data expert, and then their testing coordinator. So we were able to really, and then the PEC was at the table with us. That's the other thing. Like the PEC invested themselves in helping us create this. Like they want us to be their flagship, so to speak.
Very cool. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm glad for that because that is huge with the charter school division. So that's really good.
It is.
And we'll just keep moving forward with the other group. But I think we already know that. So I don't know. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Ray? If not, we can have a motion to approve those charter contract negotiation goals as written.
I'll move to approve those.
Great. Thank you, Dana. Second?
I'll second it.
Great. Thank you, Vincent. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Motion passes. Great. On to financial items. It looks like we have a lot of applications to approve for you, Mr. Ray. If you want to start with titles 1, 2, and 4.
One is oops, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Title 1 is dedicated to our community engagement resource person. So that goes towards our parent ASL classes. So that's taken with, I think, part of Andrew's salary and then the sign classes. Title II is training, teacher and leadership training. So actually, Sarah and I are going over some of those budgetary items, but that's what we use to send people to conferences, to different things connected to teaching and educational practices. And then Title IV is Gabe's leadership stipend through social emotional support. And if that one's the amounts, Title IV is like 10,000. Title II is, what was the allocation for that one, Sarah? Like 17?
Give me just a second.
Something like that. And then the Title I was, I think, close to 70. And those are in alignment with what we've done in the last 3 years, 4 years. So it just we're continuing the process. Yeah, nothing changed.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for them? Well, Miss Sarah gets her figures. If not, we can move to approve titles 1, 2, and 4. Their applications.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Dana. Second.
That was Nicole.
That was
I'm
Nicole.
sorry, Nicole. You guys sounded similar there. Okay, Nicole, and second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Bennessy.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Motion passes. On to the next application, which was the approval of idea B, Mr. Ray.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So our idea B actually went down, if you can believe it. And so I met with actually the special education department yesterday, which is a shambles. They're losing leadership. But I brought up to him, I said, we are the lowest funded special idea B school in the area, in the state. And that's ridiculous. And they didn't have answers. So they were just as taken aback as I was, or as I was trying to make them. So it's about, I think this year's allocation is going to be 35, 33, something like that. We haven't even gotten the paperwork for that. But yeah, it'll just go towards what it's always gone to, in support of our special ed services through service providers, different things. But it's all tied to special ed.
Okay. Wow, that's shocking.
Yeah.
But not surprising anymore. But okay, any questions for Mr. Ray?
Hmm.
If not, we can move to approve that idea B application.
I'll move to approve the idea B application.
Thank you, Dana. And second.
Yes, I'm seconding again.
Oh, I think Jane seconded. So Jane, I
Okay.
saw her hand that
That's all right.
time.
All right.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Motion passes. Mr. Ray, fine arts application.
Yep, fine arts. And that's going to go to support our what we do through, well, partly is what we've been moving over there to North Fourth Arts, but it allows us some funding for the art stuff with our older kids, or actually not for our younger kids. Our music program with Aaron Bolliker still leading that. So membership fees, supplies, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
What's the total on that one, Sarah? Do you know?
Yes. So fine arts is 42,461.
Yeah.
Okay.
That thing has grown. I remember when it was $5,000.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions about the fine arts grant application? If not, we can move to have a motion to approve. Thank you, Bennessy. I saw it. And then the second. Thank you, Nicole. I saw you. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Motion passes. Bilingual funding, Mr. Rafe.
Yeah, so that one goes towards to help support all the work around our our teachers as so the goal is that all teachers will be TESOL certified and dual certified, right? SPED, reg, and then TESOL. And TESOL fits, so part of that fits within the construct of help, our salaries are, I think, are a little bit higher than the district, and that helps supplement salaries to compensate for the extra requirements around their licensure and training, stuff like that. And that's
Okay.
that's over 100,000, Sarah?
So that's part of our operational in SEG, and for next year, it's 277,155.
Wow. Wow.
Excellent.
That's really good. I remember when that one was like 50,000, so that's good.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? If not, we can have a motion to approve the bilingual funding application.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Dana. Second.
Nicole seconded.
Thank you, Nicole. Second. All those in favor? I got it. Motion passes. The next one is the elementary PE application, Mr. Ritz.
Yeah, and that one goes to cover. So we're pretty creative about being efficient with our money use on that one. And so that one it goes towards we contract with this group called the Sports School, but they're connected to PE, the PE teacher education training program at UNM. So that's how we run our PE program, is through those guys. And so we have a lot of postdoc kids coming in, and then student teachers. So we run adaptive PE and our regular PE program through that.
Excellent. Any
And
questions about that one? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Ray.
Sarah, do you know the amount on that one?
Yes, elementary PE is $41,012.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we can have a motion to approve the elementary PE application as written.
I'll move.
Fantasy, I got you. Second, Nicole, was that your hand? Yep. Okay, Nicole seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, on to March. Bank rec, payroll, accounts payable. Miss Sarah.
Okay. So I emailed the March reports out just a couple weeks ago, I think. So the March payroll vouchers, I guess let me share my screen. Total was $423,403.65. Everything was within the normal monthly payments, although the first one we have a payee to Albuquerque Sign Language Academy, and that was a payroll deduction for some licensure fees that the school paid on behalf of some of the employees, and then they were collected back through a payroll deduction. And then accounts payable for March was $245,165.06. And then I also included in the packet the bank reconciliations for both the regular account, the sweep account, and the investment statement. We had no differences between the bank and the general ledger. And Miss Jane and I did get a chance to meet on the March reports like we normally would have. I just wasn't able to attend the meeting because of a family emergency, but so she has reviewed all of the regular March items in a timely manner.
Okay. Miss Jane, if you're good with
Yes.
that, we can move to approve the March reports,
I
financial
move
reports.
to approve.
Excellent. Second.
I'll move.
Thank you, Dana. All those in favor of approving the March financial items? Aye. Motion passes. On to April. For bars
Okay.
and bank rec and everything else.
So we have 5 bars to approve. First one is 517-000-2425 20-0066-I, which is an increased bar for Fund 24154, Title II. The increase is for the fiscal year 24-25 final award and carryover amounts from PD. The total is $7,321, and that will be budgeted to salary and benefits for some of the instructional staff to come in during the month of June and work on curriculum mapping and some other items for next school year. So to pay them to come in on non-contract days.
Okay.
And then the next one is 2425-0067-T. This is for Fund 27901, which is Indian Education Act. We will be transferring from the 2100 and the 2200 function to the 1000 function. So 16,000 from other services for contract services that were over budgeted, and then $2,000 for professional development. And that will go to 5,000 for contract services for, can you remind me of the program, Rafe, that we're doing for the summer program? He may not be there, but there's a contracted service provider that will be doing, I believe it's robotics for the summer program, and then 13,000 for math curriculum and manipulatives.
Okay.
And then next is 2425-0068-T. This is a transfer bar. We're transferring from the 3100 function to the 4000 function capital outlay. This is for the public school kitchen infrastructure grant, and the transfer amount is $190,845. And the reason for the transfer is so that we can keep all of the funds within one function. This is going to be used to buy equipment and fund part of the construction at the new facility for the cafeteria. And so because the breakout of equipment and construction would both be allowed in the 4000 function, so we don't have to maintain that fund any more than we would need to. I'm just moving it all to one, and that way we have more flexibility with the spending.
Okay.
And then next is 2425-0069-I. This is an increased bar to Fund 25153. This is Medicaid. The increase is $211,381.49. This is to budget for year-to-date revenue received for the year. So there was no budget for some reason for fiscal year 25 for the Medicaid revenue. And so far we've received the $211,381.49. And so I'm just budgeting that into various line items that we were a little bit over budget. And then I just plugged the rest here at the bottom in a supply assets line. So Medicaid is a really healthy fund for the school. We have a high cash balance and high revenues coming in. So really just cleaning up a few things.
Okay.
And then we have 2425-0071-M. This is a maintenance bar for Fund 29102 for private direct grants. We are moving $27,000 from supplies and materials to loss on investments. And so current budget was $30,000. This is related to the investment account that the school has. Currently, the school has recorded about, I think it was $38,000 in investment loss for the year. And so I'm just adding some more to that line item so that we don't go over budget in the function. We've also had gains on investments. So overall, the gains have been more than the losses, but they go to two separate line items. So we have to keep those budget lines in the positive.
Oh.
And that's it for the bars.
Okay.
Then we have our payroll vouchers for April in the amount of $403,835.42. It was the end of a payroll quarter, so we had the workman's comp and state unemployment tax that was due in April. And then we do have a employee garnishment that is new, that will be payable to New Mexico Tax and Rev. So you guys will be seeing that on a monthly basis now as well.
Okay.
And then for accounts payable, the total is $214,263.60. I did make some notes on here for you guys and can leave this up for a second if anybody has any questions about AP.
Anyone have questions?
No
Okay.
questions?
Mhm.
Okay. And then I did include in the packet the bank reconciliation. So we had no differences between the general ledger and the bank. I included the statements with images, also the sweep account activity and the investment statement. And Jane and I met on Monday and reviewed all of the reports and the statements in detail.
Excellent.
And that is it for April.
Great. And how's your dad, Miss Sarah? Sidebar.
Yeah, things are getting better. We're settling into a routine and he'll be here probably for another month or two. And we're just getting settled in.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Miss Sarah? If not, Jane, if you're okay with your financial review.
Yes, I will move to approve.
Great. Excellent. Second.
Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Motion passes. Okay, so it looks like we need a special meeting, Mr. Rafe. Is that the budget?
Yeah, so when's the budget due, Sarah?
It's due June 9th, which is a Monday. So I was hoping that we could have the special meeting on June 5th, which is a Thursday.
Okay, if that works for everybody. And we have the calendar set for your approval with the budget. So all that
Okay.
will be done then.
So on June 5th at 4 p.m. is what you're proposing?
If that works for everybody, yes.
June 5th, you said, sir?
Yes.
Okay, does that work for everybody? Enough of us?
I might be out of town.
And I'll be out of state, but I should be able to do it.
Okay,
And it's at 4 o'clock through Zoom?
Yeah, so when they send, usually when they send the time, I'll be in Minnesota, but I think it'll convert the time automatically when you send the invite out.
Okay,
it should.
perfect.
It should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well then, do you want to, let's see, we need a motion to approve that meeting date and time for June 5th at 4 p.m. via Zoom.
I'll move. That's
Thank you,
Jane.
Jane. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Venice. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay, so there we have it. The special meeting will be June 5th.
Kim, do you have, Jane and I wanted to see if you had time to meet next week so that we can kind of do the preliminary review
Sure,
of what we have
absolutely.
so far.
Is that the budget committee
Absolutely.
meeting? Sarah, is that
Yes.
what you're talking about?
And
Yeah.
we'll send Jen an invite too.
What day are we
Excellent.
looking? What day?
Whatever. So I think, Jane, we had said, let me look back at my calendar.
So Sarah, you and I, well, never mind. You and I will talk offline.
So I think we said, did we say Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, Jane? Oops, did we lose
You
her?
muted. You muted,
Yeah.
Jane.
Oh.
I don't, Wednesday or Thursday next week?
Yeah.
Let's push it to Thursday. That way, Sarah,
Okay.
that gives us Tuesday, Wednesday, or I'm sorry, Tuesday and Wednesday to kind of get all the
Sure.
budget stuff kind of squared up between you and I.
Okay.
Do you want to do that in the morning during our business office meeting, or do you want to do that in the afternoon?
Tomorrow, you talking about?
No, the next Thursday, when we meet for the budget committee.
Yeah, we can do it at yeah, let's do it at 10 because I got it. I still have my 9 o'clock with construction, so we can do it at 10 on Thursday. That works for me.
Does that
And
work
is
for
that
everybody
in
else?
person or is that via Zoom?
Let's do it in person if we can.
Okay. Should
You guys
work
want
for
to come to
me.
the school?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, time again? The 29th, May 29th, at what time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay.
All right, excellent. Okay. Um, great. Did we vote already on that special meeting? We did, right? I'm good.
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, well then our next regular monthly meeting, not our normal, or not our special one, but will be June 18th, 4 o'clock, same way. And if no one has anything else, we can move to adjourn at 4:56.
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you, Dana. Second.
I second.
Thank you, Venice. All those in
Mhm.
favor? Aye.
Okay.